Klimt painted The Kiss during the most difficult period of his life. The 5-year scandal with the faculty paintings had just died down. The University of Vienna refused to commission Klimt, considering it provocatively indecent, almost pornographic. Klimt idolized women. He was never married, which allowed him to sleep with almost all of his models. And this eventually led to a phenomenal result of 14 children, although he officially recognized only 6. However, he lived his entire life with his mentally ill mother, returning to her every day from the bed he shared with another mistress. The female body, nudity, sensuality along with ambition were, perhaps, the main hobby in his life. And this was naturally reflected in his work. This is what happened with the scandal of the faculty paintings. In 1900, 8 years before the creation of The Kiss, the University of Vienna placed an order for 4 ceiling paintings. Klimt made sketches and won 3 of the 4 orders in a competition. They were to depict the leading sciences: philosophy, medicine, and jurisprudence. The 4th, theology, was ordered from Franz von Mock, a friend of Klimt. In the same year, 1900, Klimt presented the first of the paintings at an exhibition, Philosophy. Unfortunately, these paintings have not survived to this day. They were burned by retreating Wehrmacht troops in 1945. But photographs of these paintings remain, and I can show them to you. Philosophy immediately caused a strong shock in the scientific community. The result not only did not correspond to the sketches, it depicted the future of science as extremely pessimistic, and also contained a scattering of naked female bodies. Unthinkable. How could this be hung on the ceiling of the Temple of Science? Oh, if only the hard-headed academics could read the future. However, at the exhibition in Paris, the painting became a star and won a gold medal. The second painting in the series, Medicine, added fuel to the fire. Viennese newspapers exploded with indignation, and the scientific community accused Klimt of pornography. Passions ran so high that in the third painting, Klimt completely lost his mind, declaring that he would not waste time on reworking. And in 1905, Klimt returned the advance for the paintings, declaring that he would never work for a government customer again. This scandal became a turning point in Klimt's life. It simultaneously hit his pride and gave it momentum, making Klimt not only independent of the commission, but also the most famous artist in Austria. In the same year of 1905, the Vienna Secession, an association of progressive artists of Austria, also fell apart. It fell apart due to disagreements. Some artists believed that art should remain within the classical framework, painting, sculpture, architecture, while others, led by Klimt, believed that beauty should be spread as widely as possible, introduced into everyday life, decorating ugliness, and thus improving the world, raising the level of taste of the population. It is this idea of decorating, aestheticizing the surrounding world that we will see in The Kiss, which, as we now know, has penetrated everyday life deeper than ever. Klimt would have been delighted. It is generally accepted that Klimt's golden period began in 1905, as a kind of challenge to the conservative art community in the wake of the scandal that punished the artist for his freethinking. But I managed to find the only color image of 3 faculty paintings. A color phototype of the figure of Hygeia from Medicine has survived. And we see that he began using gold in his paintings much earlier. The fact is that Klimt's father was a jeweler, and Gustav had access to gold-working technologies since childhood. And in 1899, a year before starting work on the faculty paintings, he visited Italy, where he was amazed by the gold mosaics in St. Mark's Cathedral in Venice. And the artist decided to use the same technique for painting the ceiling of the academy, already having basic knowledge of working with gold. For him, this was a very natural move. The scandal with the faculty paintings made gold trim Klimt's calling card, and The Kiss would become the star of this period. Klimt began painting The Kiss in 1907 and first presented it at an exhibition in Vienna in 1908. After the scandal and refusal to work with the state, Klimt had great difficulty finding money to organize exhibitions. However, this year, the 60th anniversary of the reign of Emperor Franz Joseph I was celebrated on a grand scale, and Klimt, after 3 years of exhibition hunger, could not miss such an opportunity. he agreed with the government to organize an exhibition as part of the anniversary, at which the kiss was presented for the first time. Although at that time this painting was called Lovers, and it was not a standalone one, but a pair to the painting The Three Ages of Woman, which Klimt had painted back in 1905. I think that by combining these two paintings, Klimt wanted to show the beginning and end of the 3-year period without exhibitions, to illustrate the changes that his work underwent. And the kiss was unconditionally liked by everyone. The recently built Belvedere Museum immediately bought the painting for an exorbitant price of 25,000 crowns at the time, and that's a laughable $300,000 now. And experts agree that it was a compensation for the scandal with the faculty paintings. But you must admit, the museum could not have come up with a better investment. By that time, Klimt had already become a world star, and the roles had somewhat changed. Publicist Berta Zuckerkandl commented on this decision in the newspaper. Finally, an incomprehensible omission was corrected. Finally, the almost incredible fact that the Modern Gallery of Austria did not own a representative work of the greatest master was eliminated. And Lovers, an almost chaste, tender painting, so sharply contrasting with the provocative eroticism of the faculty paintings, was to everyone's liking. It depicts a man and a woman, closely pressed against each other. The man kisses the woman on the cheek. Her face is turned towards us. Her eyes are closed in an exciting languor. The woman hugs the man by the neck. Her fingers seem to be brought together in a gesture of premonition and bliss. In the painting, Klimt brings to perfection his signature contrast between the naturalistic depiction of flesh and the graphic, flat, ornamental surroundings. Only by the ornament can we recognize the contours of the clothes, the rough, angular ornament of the man, and the delicate, rounded one of the woman. Around them is a golden halo, as if protecting the lovers, isolating them from the world, and equipped with its own unique ornament. They are standing on a grassy flower bluff. Flowers are woven into their hair. The painting is imbued with a sense of calm and gentle sensuality, which is easily transmitted to the viewer. Everyone who saw the painting in 1908 was delighted, and although the exhibition itself was a financial failure, and its real scandalous star was Kokoschka, it rehabilitated Klimt and elevated him to the Olympus of world artists. The painting was presented unfinished at the exhibition, but Klimt later completed and corrected it, lengthening the woman's shins, which he had made anatomically incorrect, and for which his colleagues criticized him. For the background, Klimt used his own technique. First, he applied the convex parts of the image to the painting with glue to create relief. Then he partially covered the canvas with gold leaf. We see these plates in the background. Then he covered the base with glaze to darken the background and finally added spots of gold paint. The gold in the painting plays a solo role, emphasizing the characters and surroundings of the couple. Here, look at how the painting looks in ultraviolet light. The dark spots are gold. Some recent art critics claim that the painting does not depict a kiss at all. Supposedly, we do not see consent in the woman's face. She turned away from the man, and they see in her gesture a desire to push him away. But I think these are the same people who call the kiss of love with which the prince revived Snow White a kiss without consent and almost rape. And it is enough to look at the sketch for the painting, where we see a slightly different pose, in which there is obviously no disagreement. I will also add that if they had simply inquired about the original title of the painting, Lovers, not The Lover and the Defenseless, not The Horrors of the Patriarchy, they would not have made a laughingstock of themselves. The kiss reconciled all sides of the long-standing Viennese conflict, but also gave rise to a lot of rumors. Who is the woman depicted in the painting, and what is her relationship with Klimt? Well, we know what kind of relationship Klimt had with his models from the number of the artist's children. But here we are in for a surprise. There is a legend that a nobleman commissioned this portrait from Klimt before the wedding, giving the artist only a pendant with the image of the bride. And Klimt liked the woman so much that he decided to keep the kiss for himself and deliberately did not depict it in the painting. A sweet story that becomes a tale if you know who this mysterious woman in the painting is. In fact, the artist gave the woman the features of Emily Floge, his longtime girlfriend. They were once romantically connected, but back at the beginning of the century, 8 years before the painting was created, Emily was his muse, but she gave up her affair when he started flirting with another model. However, they remained on very warm terms until the end of their lives, and even when dying after a stroke, Klimt asked to call Emily to him. Their friendly union was not only creative, but also a business partnership. Emily Floge was a famous fashion designer, and it was her outfits that Klimt always dressed his models in. And of course, it was them that he later photographed. That is why Emily's face in this painting confuses everyone, because they were not publicly in a love relationship. There are even art historians who believe that this is just a friendly kiss, but we will remind them again of the original title of the painting, Lovers. The famous Klimt researcher Alice Straubel recently proved, based on sketches for the painting, that it depicts Klimt himself and Emily. Look at the man's clothes. They are loose and with an open neck. This is the kind of robe that Klimt himself traditionally wore. Emily always preferred and wore the so-called reform dresses, a kind of feminist challenge of that time, freeing a woman from a corset. We do not see the man's face, but it must be admitted that Klimt rarely depicted men at all. As a rule, men served as an accessory to a woman in his paintings. And although Klimt and Floge did not talk about the nature of their relationship, we know that after Klimt's death, Emily burned a huge box of letters from their personal correspondence. And this gives us reason to assume that she had something to hide, and their romantic relationship did not end after the breakup. Perhaps Emily was the only true love of Klimt, who was never able to curb his lust, but reflected his true feelings in The Kiss, veiling its participants by hiding his face and dyeing his girlfriend's hair. Look, the lovers have flower crowns on their heads, and this hints at some kind of ritual. The woman's lips are closed, although in all of Klimt's paintings they are sexually open. And this tells us about his particularly reverent attitude towards the model. Klimt does not dare to cast a shadow of his lust on her. Personally, I like to think so. Researchers and art historians generally like to embellish, sucking interpretations and stories out of their fingers. Some, for example, claim that the rectangles on the man's clothes symbolize spermatozoa, and the flowers on the woman's dress, eggs. I am very unsure that Klimt in 1908 even knew such words, or, even more so, saw these wonderful creatures. There is no information that he was interested in biology, and even more so that he liked to cover the dresses of his models with human physiological secretions. Or others say that the very outline of the couple resembles a phallic symbol. But forgive me, by this logic, any person resembles a phallic symbol, and all people are just walking phalluses. But you and I are not such big fans of the grotesque to take seriously the fruits of such a morbid imagination. There are those who say that Klimt borrowed the idea of the kiss from other artists. And yes, Munch, for example, also had the kiss and the 3 ages of woman, and he painted them 10 years before the kiss. But it seems to me that it is difficult to borrow the idea of a kiss. It is like borrowing the idea of love, when almost all art is dedicated to it alone. Artists have depicted the kiss in hundreds of ways, and Klimt found his own. But you must admit, it is incomparably emotional, sensual, and, I am not afraid of this word, brilliant.